I'm Valerie De Benedictus.
And you're a homeschooler?
Yes.
How many homeschooled kids do you have?
I have 4.
Really? Well, how old are they? The oldest and the youngest?
I have a 15-year-old daughter down to an 8-year-old son.
Have they always been homeschooled?
Some. 3 of my top 3 have been homeschooled all their academic lives. And then my youngest son went to township preschool and kindergarten and received some special services through the township.
And he's homeschooled now?
And now, as of 1st grade and on.
Okay. Val, you've been attending the ENOCH Homeschool Convention for years.
Correct,
right?
On and off.
So what advice can you give about getting the most out of a convention experience?
I think that if you're going to, there could be several reasons for going. One could be to look at vendors and product. So if you had a general list of what kind of subjects or products you wanted to see at vendors, you could make a beeline right to those booths and look at those projects or products and see if they were going to suit your family and your students, your teaching style and your students' learning style. That would be one way to pre-plan. Another way is to look at the speakers and see if any of them are going to address issues that you have had recent experience with and maybe some challenges in your family life, maybe things you anticipate this season, or maybe even things that are coming in the next 2 to 4 years of your season of life, whether you're going to be entering middle school or high school, junior high. You might want to tap into a speaker on a topic that might not be the next step, but in the next few. And looking at the vendor list might help to pre-plan how you're spending your days at the convention.
You talked about planning for the exhibit hall and looking for buying curriculum by having a list. Is that something that you do?
I do. I have products or product lines that I've liked, and then I don't really have to make a lot of decisions about that. But sometimes I want to see what the new products are, or I have a student that maybe isn't exactly the same as the siblings and might need a new angle to teach. And so I would go to the exhibit halls and just peruse through the products and see what's out there. I try to spend Friday as a browsing day and Friday night as a consideration day at night back at the hotel, and I look at prices from the vendors at the exhibit hall. I look at catalogs that I have to compare prices, and I kind of think, am I really going to use that product that I never even knew about until I came to the convention, and would that be a good fit for my family to avoid spontaneous spending?
Okay. So you already told me how you plan for workshops. One of the things we didn't talk about was ENOCH's used curriculum sale. And I know when I look at that from the outside, it looks a bit daunting to see a bunch of people rushing to these tables. Although you've been successful shopping there. Tell me about how that works for you.
I think one of the most helpful things that the volunteers do is that they sort them according to subjects and even sometimes publishers. So if you're looking for Saxon or teaching textbooks, they seem to all be in a section. And so you can sort of decide what is the most important used product that you're going to get for your shopping trip. I'm not a really good bargain hunter, and so I do get overwhelmed by that crowd. But I will kind of say, what is my very top item, rather than trying to fill out half of my curriculum bill. And so for me, buying 1 or 2 of those top items in the used curriculum sale means that I've been successful, because everybody's different.
Right, and you can do that.
And I can do that. I just can't do it all, like some other ladies who are very good at it.
Right. Sometimes the logistics of attending a convention can be a bit daunting. Just getting there, where you're going to stay, what are you going to eat. Tell me about what you do to prepare for going to the convention.
Well, I go up on Friday, which means that I need to arrange for childcare for half of Friday. And then my husband, his partnership with me is that he frees me up to go Friday night and stay overnight so that I have all day Saturday also. Typically I stay with another friend. I have stayed with up to 3 friends in a hotel room, and sometimes I have just one friend that will join me. And typically we will do meals together. Sometimes I volunteered at the conference, and so I get some of my meals at the conference or the convention. And so, but if I'm not doing that, I try to call some friends ahead of time and see if we can go out for dinner on Friday or even breakfast on Saturday. So on a spiritual, the nugget for the spiritual side is that you need God's grace to do it. And that God has created our children uniquely, and we need to address those unique features rather than trying to make our children conform. So I think Deborah Bell was a helpful person with that topic.
So when you say to do it, you mean to homeschool, not to go to the convention? Although you probably need him
homeschool,
for both.
Homeschool and help them to grow into a person that you would create rather than who God created.
Okay.
And I think practical, teacher-wise, I can't think of the speaker's name, Mark. It was the lady who talked about using your books till the very end, even if you don't finish them at the end of the year. Just keep plugging away, even if you start them again in September at the lesson you left off at in June if you take the whole summer off. And also that she spoke about how children learn in plateaus. They make a few steps and then they plateau. And then they make a few steps and plateau. And they don't do that all at the same time in all the same subjects, or different subjects. And so if a child has mastered something, move on. Don't keep spending a lot of time on that. If they need to slow down in another subject, slow down in that subject, and to just kind of pace, not necessarily by keep turning to the next lesson, but to pace according to their mastery.
So it sounds like for you, the convention, you've taken more away from it than just what was in the exhibit hall. But even though you can't remember the names of the people who've spoken to you, there's been some truths, at least for your own life, that you've been able to incorporate and even tell me about.
Yes, yes. I may not be able to give you the whole spiel, but there are always pieces that are practical and always something that tugs at your heart to remind you why you're doing homeschooling or why God's called you to do it, and are you following the calling, or are you getting caught up in some other agenda that maybe you created for yourself or for your family, but what has God called you? And so there's always some reassuring, some retraining, some correction, and encouragement. There's always those things all wrapped up. And you just never know which speaker it's going to be, or even which conversation in the hall is going to be that. God will make it.
Do you show up with a plan of which speakers you might, like, I know that we actually publish ahead of time our speaker schedule. So do you have an idea of who you might visit before you show up, or is it more?
I have the maybe top 2 people I really want to hear. I'm not very good at listening to the CDs when I get home, so I'm either going to hear them in person, or in practical terms I'm probably going to miss it, even though I have high hopes of listening when I get the CD. So I will have a couple people I absolutely want to try to get to. And then I have I hope I get to people. And what I do is, how is the convention going for me? Do I need to hurry up and get to the speaker, or do I need to lay back and keep talking to this vendor or this other homeschool mom, or what do I need to do? So I have that really want to try to get to, and the hope I get to. And I do plan that ahead of time.
You do plan that ahead of time. Well, that's good. That's why I'm asking, because I think that a lot of people can show up and be a bit overwhelmed.
Oh yes, I can get overwhelmed too.
So does it help you to come with a plan, I guess?
Yes, it does help to get a plan, but it's not rigid.
So what happens when you're overwhelmed there? What do you do?
Sometimes I just sit and don't do anything and just take a break.
That's a good thing.